Hello and welcome to the Story Engine podcast. Today on the show, we have Dena Patton, and we are going to be co-creating a story all about Girls Rule. Dena, tell us a little bit about Girls Rule and what we're going to learn.
Girls Rule Foundation is all about empowerment and leadership for teen girls, and you're going to learn all about some cool things that we are up to.
Dena Patton, welcome to the Story Engine podcast.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to be here too. Getting to know you has just been a series of magical and fun moments, and I expect the same thing is going to unfold for us here today. But tell us a little bit about who you are and how you're showing up in the world today. I know you, but the audience doesn't yet know you.
Yeah, well, I've been a owner of a business coaching and consulting company for the last 23 years. And the bottom line to that is I love helping small business owners create really great companies that are making huge impact and huge income. And so helping lots of small business owners over the last 23 years. And I'm a speaker, been speaking about 10 years, and author of The Greatness Game. And philanthropy is really important to me. And about 13 years ago, started a 501c3 that advances and empowers girls in the world. And so we do leadership and empowerment programs for teen girls. And that's called the Girls Rule Foundation. So for me, I'm all about showing up in my greatness, hoping to spark other people's greatness and purpose and help people do really epic things in the world.
Absolutely. I feel that philanthropy is a natural progression that occurs for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big drive for achievement, for getting enough from me, and you get to a certain point where you're like, it just doesn't quite make sense to just keep working for myself and starting to give what you've created,
Yes.
and give more meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a specific point? Do you remember a turning point in your career where you were like, it's time to start giving more? I've really made it.
Well, I think it came, it's like what you just said. You see a lot of people become go-getters, but then some of them become go-givers. And I looked around years ago, and really the people I admired were both. They were go-getters and go-givers. And it's not an or situation, it's an and situation. And I really do believe that if you can do well, you can do good. And so it motivates me to do really well in my business so that I can do good in the world through philanthropy and ministry and good things. So you can't really give when you can't even make your own bills, right? And so I feel like my mom was a big inspiration to do good. And she didn't do it mainly through money. So it wasn't at first, it wasn't like, oh, let me just go and give money away. It wasn't a money thing, it was an impact thing. I think that not everybody, but I think a lot of people love to make an impact. And for me, I was looking around. I had been on a few boards and I had really been called to make a difference for women and girls. And I was doing that through various charities and boards and whatnot. But I just really got this calling to the work I was doing with women CEOs was the same work that we need to do with girls, just tweaking the curriculum a little bit to be girl friendly. And that's really what was the beginning to say, I can make a bigger impact here. I have the curriculum, I have the strategy, I could do something here. And hence started my own nonprofit. And it's not the only way. Actually, you can make a huge difference without creating your own nonprofit. But that's what really drove me in the beginning.
Can you tell me something about something that would occur for a young girl that might carry over into CEO life? Not necessarily anything that would happen to them, but what is a different pattern? How are you teaching it? What is a young girl and a highly executing CEO have in common, and why is that a problem right now?
So, one of the sayings that we have in the Girls Rule Foundation is girls with dreams become women with vision. And when you look at successful women or successful anyone, they have a vision. They have a thing they're going after, that winning, successful thing that they want. But that starts, what that looks like at 13 is a dream, right? I want to make the varsity soccer team, or I want to be president of my club, or I want to get this certain job or go to this certain college. When girls do not dream, usually that is a cue that they are in survival mode, they're in struggling mode, they're not in a place of that higher version of yourself that's going after something. So what we look at is girls who are really struggling in school. They don't have dreams, they don't have any ambitions because they're just trying to make it day to day. They are going down the road and have the cues to become a statistic, not a leader. I want girls to become leaders, not statistics. So there's some core soft skills, things like self management, social awareness, relationship skills, self management, self awareness. So there's those soft skills that really make a difference in how a girl manages herself, her thoughts, actions, homework, those kind of things, in her body, her choices around money, around her time, who is she hanging out with. And then you add the other two elements that we teach is financial literacy and 12 leadership principles. And when girls don't have, I say they're like tools. If you say to a girl, I want you to build a house, but you know what? We're not going to give you a hammer. We're not going to give you a saw, but good luck. It's a little bit like that, where it's like, build a great life for yourself, but we're not going to teach you leadership skills to make all those decisions until your 20s. And so what we find is that women aren't really taught financial literacy skills and leadership skills until our 20s. And by that time, a girl or a woman is way already off track. So what I say is we've got to teach them in their teen years, 12, 13, 14, 15, so that they become that 18 and 19-year-old that can either go into the workforce or into college and succeed at those. But you can't expect an 18-year-old to go into the workforce or into college and manage herself and be successful at those things if she doesn't have the right tools on her tool belt. So that's what I identified through my own story and through hundreds of women CEOs that I was coaching at the time. This is 15 years ago. We all had a very similar story, that we all had these missing tools and skill sets as teenagers. And man, when we started to learn them in our 20s, how our career, our income, our life went to a new level. And I thought, man, we got to get these tools and skills to teenagers. And then I looked up the statistics, and that was the end of it. I went, oh God, we have a problem here that we can help solve. And that's all I needed. And off I went, and we created programs and have made a difference for thousands and thousands of girls. So
You mentioned sometime in your 20s, all of you gathering around and being like, when did we needed to learn this? When was
yeah.
that? What happened there? Who gave it to you? Where were you?
Where was I when I realized I was
When
missing all the
you
skills?
you came across these skill sets, you discovered them for the first time and thought, I could apply these to my life. How
Yeah.
nifty is that?
Yeah, right. Around 27 was my biggest time, when I
Nice.
went, oh my goodness, this skill and this skill and this skill. And then the more I talked to other women, they said, me too, me too. I didn't learn that. Oh, you're learning that 27. I didn't learn that till 35. And it became kind of a running joke of
Mm.
that's what got me really fueled is
Yeah.
even if I got a bunch of 20 uh, women leaders together today that were all 50 plus, and I said, when did you learn these 5 skills? They would all say somewhere in their late 20s to all the way up to their 50s. Oh, I only learned that 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's mine for me. It began about 27 or 28, and the trend is the beginning is between 27 and 35 when women really start learning these skills.
So what, like, these skills, did you read it in a book for the first time? Were you at an event or a conference? Who was this woman that said, I didn't learn that till 35? And where specifically were you when that quote happened?
Yeah. So it was in New York City. My first business, I had a PR and marketing agency in New York City. And it was the time in my life where I really started networking and started building relationships with other CEOs, other business owners, very similar to the group that you and I are in. And that network of women is when I started to share kind of this vision of like, I think girls are missing some core tools and skills. And that's where a lot of women said, oh, yeah, you're lucky to learn it at 27. I learned it at 35 or 40. And then I started to string those stories together. And I thought, we have an issue here. This isn't in my mind or just me problem. This is almost every single woman that I meet that says, oh, I didn't learn leadership skills till my mid 30s. Or until I made it to the C suite, did I learn these ones? Or I didn't learn financial literacy, really how to manage money until I was 40. Um, so some basic things that I think make a huge difference. And those women in New York really were the ones that got me present to it. This is a collective problem. Um, and we've got to do something about it.
Yeah, I like this. Can you tell me about a time when you were in struggle mode and not thinking about finances and not dreaming and caught on the whims of life, blaming others for where you were? Do you remember a specific time?
As an adult or as a
As an adult?
teenager?
Yes. Yes, after 18, before 27 apparently.
7. So I would say that my first year of business, which was 24, 25,
Mhm.
I was really struggling. And man, the skills that we teach at Girls Rule, I would have given anything to know in those couple years because it was literally a mixture of what we teach. It's how do I manage money now that I have 3 employees and payroll to hit and all this money coming in and out. That would have been really helpful to have financial literacy at that level. But
Mhm.
leading, leadership, really understanding. We have 12 leadership principles. And for me, at that age of 24, 25, you're still, very young and you're figuring out who you are in the world. And this was my first business. But if I just had some core leadership skills on my tool belt, it would have made a humongous difference and would
Did you
have.
do anything weird as a leader or kind of goofy, like
Well,
trying to manage things?
I think just managing my business, I was struggling. I look at a lot of first year, second year business owners where there's just a lot of flailing and bad decision making. You're going day to day
Mhm.
versus having a clear plan and having how to lead to a goal. How do you take a goal and lead yourself and all your decisions that way? That skill set is taught. And so for me, that those early years of business, I would have loved to have some of these skills. I think we would have made a lot more money. I would have not gotten off track how I did, and just a lot less pain and suffering in the first years of my business,
Hmm.
if I had
Was
them.
this business in New York?
Yeah,
Did you had remote teams or local teams?
local teams. I'll age myself. Is this was before the internet, so it was had the office in Midtown in New York, and my
Nice.
team was all in New York. And I was very fortunate to when I got my act together, led my team, led this business, and I got a knock on the door. And
Ooh.
these two guys said, "We love what you're doing, and there's this thing coming. It's called the internet, and it's going to put you out of business. And we want to buy your business and turn it into a website." And I said, "As long as me and my three employees can go, you can buy the business and all of us, and we'll consult for a year." And I can report out that that business is, I mean, that was 25 years ago, and it is still going very strong and multi-million dollar global business today. And
Tell
so
me
it was a
about the
success, working
yeah.
through all the struggles, we got there.
Tell me about what the office looked like at this time. What was something that was businessy? That was like, this is what a business is supposed to look like. It's a poster on the wall, or there's something about this that is just that we can bring it into this room, a detail from this room.
Well, the special thing about that office was it was in Carnegie Hall. So
Whoa.
famous Carnegie Hall is, first level, but above Carnegie Hall is about 10 stories of office buildings and office suites that you can rent. And
Hmm.
so myself and three employees were up there, and I had my first Mac computer. I think they were neon at the time. I had a neon green Mac as my computer. And it was a big deal to have an office. I was 24 and had an office and had a few employees and had a computer, and figuring out not only myself and my business, but navigating New York and how to do it all.
Hmm. And it all probably looked really different then, or like what we had to do and what all of it was, and the success that we want to create at those times is really different
Today.
than yeah,
Oh
how we
my
really
gosh.
shape it. Hmm.
Just the fact that, we communicated through fax. You
Hmm.
sent a document via fax. And then, once email kind of got not everybody had an email. So you couldn't just say, "Oh, I'll send you an email with that document," because a lot of people said, "Well, I didn't have I didn't have an
Hmm.
I don't have an email." So it was very different times to run a company with the lack of connection and resources. Today we can look up anything we want online and access to people. And when you don't have internet, you had to knock on doors if you wanted to meet someone. So
Perfect.
very different times
I'd like to redirect this to even more different times, the opposite times. I want to hear about a moment where you are in your leadership, you have financial literacy, you're in control of your dreams. This would be after age 27,
yeah.
and you're experiencing this power. This would be you've been appalled by seeing all these other women who didn't learn these things, but when did you really feel the benefit of these?
So I would say that for me, selling the business and negotiating that
Nice.
and consulting them in the building of that new internet company, I could not have done that if I did not get some core tools on my financial literacy, some core leadership uh, tools, but also the confidence. In Girls Rule, for us, it's confidence skills, leadership skills, financial literacy skills, and they build on each other. And so for me, that time when I sold my business, started this business, my coaching and training company, and started speaking. And it was a time where I had to really step into my power, use my leadership skills, negotiate my way. and reinvent myself completely into a whole new brand and company. And it was, I literally would not have been able to do it. And then since then, I've used it, 50,000 times, as we do as business owners.
Was
So
there a moment where you like opened up a check and was like the business sold or signed a paper or
mm,
a real turning point moment?
I mean, I would say selling the business, getting that check was a pretty big moment. That the three of them came together. Confidence came together, leadership came together, financial literacy came together, and it was a
Where
moment
were
of my
you?
power. I
Where were
was
you
in
when you
my
got the
office.
check?
In that office, I was telling you, in the office at Carnegie Hall,
Mm-hmm.
in New York, and you know, getting that check and being able to not only move myself and employees over to that new company, but to see, to be at the beginning of the internet and to be on the cutting edge and in day one creating a successful website. And when I was director of marketing for that year of consulting, and by the time I left, we had 70,000 paid members. And to learn how to do that and lead through that was another pretty big moment of of I think these skills coming together. And I took all of that and then started this business. And so yeah, another big moment.
So we've found a few of these moments, and we've been focusing on you. And I want to bring this back to the bigger picture and the 100 School initiative.
Mm.
I'd love to hear from you. We've mentioned like they don't learn these skills till later. What do you do to teach them? What is exciting? What makes you proud about this? And how do you see this impacting the world down the line?
Such a good question. So in Girls Rural Foundation, we have an after school program we've sold for the last 5 or 6 years. And what we're doing in any school, any group with girls can buy this curriculum and do it with their girls. But back to impact, I love impact. And I said, instead of selling it one-offs, just, as we have, I want to do it statewide. And so I created this initiative called the 100 School Initiative, and we're starting in Arizona and then going to other states. And so what we're doing is getting 100 schools to participate with a group of girls from their school. They're going to be going through a 13-week program, which teaches them the 13 leadership principles over the 13 weeks. And they're going to do a community service project as a club that they vote on, they create, and they execute on. And they get to impact their school or community through that community service project. And then at the end of their 13 weeks, all the girls from this program are coming together for an impact day. And that's going to be a day where we're training them in more leadership, and we're going to share their community service projects with each other. And what I'm really excited for is the moment that we add up all their impact numbers. So imagine one of the schools did a community service project and maybe for the homeless, and they impacted 100 people. And then a school down in Yuma, they did a community service project inside of their school that impacted 50 students. So we're going to add up all 100 schools, all their impact numbers. And for me, that impact number is really important to reveal to the girls so that I've been a part of something that made a difference for, let's say it's, 25,000 people collectively. So we're excited to do that program starting in January. They're going to be doing the program for 13 weeks, coming together for the final day all together. So we're going to have about 2,500 girls together. And here's the bigger impact is these girls are going to leave this program with tools they have never had before on their tool belt. And then they're going to be leaving knowing that they impacted through their community service project an amazing, impact that they had. But also, here's the thing that I want for these girls. I want them to graduate from high school, and I want them to be able to have the tools to choose what's next for them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we're losing a lot of girls, is they don't think they have a choice. They can't afford college, so they just wipe it off the options, or they say I can't do this or I can't do that, and so they just don't give themselves any options. So
Mm-hmm.
so we want them to have the leadership skills to navigate through high school. We want them to have the skill sets to be able to choose what higher education that they can go into or workforce, and have the confidence, if they go into the workforce, have the confidence to go negotiate their worth and go get a job that's going to progress and make them money and not be stuck at a dead end job. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's about economic, you know, development for them and the rest of their life.
The thing that really stands out to me and is unique from other nonprofits that I've encountered is why you're measuring. A lot of nonprofits like to measure, but they always measure to please the donors
Hmm.
and to measure to show the recipient that they are powerful and they did something
Yes.
is very deep, and I appreciate that a lot.
Well, I'm glad that wasn't lost on you, because I've learned something uh, running this nonprofit. Is it's a little bit like the political system, is whoever donates to that candidate controls them. And I
Mhm.
found out very early on that donors control nonprofits. And here's the thing, I am not playing that game. And so, what I do is I create extraordinary programs and summer camps and after school programs and curriculum. And I go out in the world and I say what we're doing and why we're doing it. And what it does is it attracts the right donors that go, I want to support that. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I have to be involved. Versus going and find the donors and then doing whatever program the donors want. And
Mhm.
it's the game nonprofits work. And for me, it doesn't, it goes sideways real quick. And so it's a really, for me, it's a little risky, because you risk, creating programs that don't get donors and sponsors, but that
Mm.
hasn't happened.
Nice.
People love what we're doing.
Well, I think I have the details I need to put together a story to speak to just those donors. This would be something that we would use to introduce this organization, our process, and what's unique, and hopefully land that within them.
Love that.
Let's get started. My first business was an office in Carnegie Hall. I can remember walking into it for the first time and feeling important and feeling aligned and bringing in team members and remembering the excitement and the potential and the power within this. But it didn't take long to find myself in the same kind of survival mode that I had found myself in for years, just trying to get by day to day, people pleasing, not speaking up, and not even standing up and making uh, any offers. And I remember being in this office, looking out the window in Midtown and just flailing around every day with these questions that I would never dare to admit to my team. How do I manage all this money? Where is this going to go? How do I do this? I would get home at night and be exhausted and tired, but be waking up in nightmares of worrying if I missed a paycheck or something like that in the evening. And every day I seemed like I had just a little bit less of an edge. I didn't have any plans for where this was going or what it was going to impact. I didn't have any idea of how to communicate where we were going with my team members. I'm amazed they were sticking around. And amazingly and gratefully, it all started to change when I started seeing this own pattern in myself. There was something there. There was a resilience that I had growing up as a girl, having to deal with pressures and expectations and these half-finished messages of how I should be without actually telling me what I need to get there, like having a dream, having any kind of financial literacy, or having leadership and a confidence to speak up and declare that dream. I started seeing how much of an impact these things could really have, and felt like I had missed a bus. Like, where was this in class? Why wasn't this taught? And it was amazing implementing these things that were actually very simple. The way that I started to approach my days with more energy and more zest and more teams. And it didn't take very long before somebody started knocking on the door and said, Dena, we want to buy your company. And what really hit home was just over the course of a few years, a lot of costly and painful mistakes, and landing this for myself, receiving a check of my company sold, having a dream of what to do with that, and having a plan for the first time. I had made it in some ways. I was doing well, but there was time to do good still. With my newfound success, I started putting together masterminds and gathering groups of women and talking about my journey and my sale and my success. I started sharing about the things I learned from leadership or financial literacy or just having a vision. And they jokingly, kind of jokingly, and with a little bit of pain, say, oh, I didn't learn that till 35 or 45 or 55. And they laugh about all of the wild directions that their life had taken before knowing these simple and fundamental things. And with every woman sharing that, I started to think back at myself at my desk, flailing and moving in every direction, and began to wonder how many more women right now are going through that. How many more girls are we going to allow to go through that? And that's when I realized this wasn't an adult problem. This wasn't something that we needed to solve in masterminds with peers my age. We needed to go deeper. We needed to go to the root of things. And that's why I've started the 100 School Initiative, to teach these simple and powerful tools to girls to allow them to create the life that they want. And I believe that with a country and a world filled with girls that have access to their dreams, that have a plan for their finance and the confidence to pursue those, that this is going to lead to a better country, a better world, and a better future that we all want and deserve. And so in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how the 100 School Initiative is changing the lives of girls across the country. What do you think, Dena?
Amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
That was amazing. That was so amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I thought it was very deep, and the patterns just kept emerging
Yes.
through the conversation.
I loved the flow, and really that literally the last 4 or 5 uh, words there is, the outcome of. I love that the girls can thrive, knowing their dreams and knowing their a path. They're going to have a path forward to their dreams and their life and their financial literacy. Um, and I think the and in there is the we're going to help keep girls in school, and we're going to have which that whole piece of just the the statistics around dropouts cost this country $7 billion a year, and it's really devastating on our economy when kids drop out. So just that aside, but just helping girls become leaders and graduates and not a statistic, I think is just what I would add there on the end. But I loved that flow, and the I would have never connected some of those dots to each other that you did so well.
That's really the fun of what I do. I'm not smarter than anybody, or I don't know how to do most of the things better than the people I have on my show, but it's finding the dots and connecting them and lining them up
Mhm.
in ways that most people aren't able to consider on their own because they're just so close to them.
Right.
And by applying what's behind all of this is very simple frameworks, much like what you are teaching and
Mhm.
educating in others. And yeah, it becomes a lot more possible and a lot more human when we
Mhm.
understand what the story really needs. So I'm so
So cool.
grateful. Yeah. Um, Tell us a little bit more about where we can go to find out more about you, about the full spectrum of things, or what we can learn about. And then, if anybody is really interested in collaborating or donating, where can we go to find out more or connect with you and learn more
Yeah.
about you?
Thank you. Well, my website is denapatton.com. Super easy. Everything about me and my coaching, training, book, speaking is there. And then Girls Rule, RULE, foundation.org is the organization. And the 100 School Initiative is not on our website yet. We haven't launched. It's launching at the end of
Hmm.
September. But the program Dream Lab and our summer camp and more information around the work that we do and is all on the website. So yes, if you have someone if you are someone who has a heart for girls, advancing women and girls in the world, there's all kinds of ways to be involved with our organization, and reach out to me. I would love to chat.
Amazing. And do you have any closing thoughts for us today?
Well, I mean, for me, I just am so grateful to receive that, those dots and that story. It really is a beautiful way to see my own story and see how it has all come together. And I would say the leaving thoughts is just gratefulness, is being grateful for you and for this journey of storytelling, and being courageous. Courage is one of my favorite words, and I think it takes courage to tell our stories. And I would say to myself and to everybody, keep having courage to tell better stories.
Beautiful, Dina. I appreciate your courage and continued courage to show up. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Story Engine podcast.
Thank you.